The next guy up, though, Cam Akers, kind of rounds out the big five, and a lot are viewing him as the heir apparent to Todd Gurley. But I believe I heard you say that Darrell Henderson's your number two all time in this, behind was only Joe Mixon. So, I mean, clearly he has to have some talent himself to finish that high as well. So, do you think Cam Akers just comes in and takes this job right from him? Do you think Henderson forces a committee? This is obviously, with Gurley being the top running back in fantasy for 17 and 18, obviously this backfield does contain some upside and some value. So how do you see it playing out?
Yeah, I was hoping I was wrong about Cam Akers, but before the draft, I was afraid that teams would view him as just like the 1A of a committee. I thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Jonathan Taylor could be workhorse backs in the right scheme. And of course, now they're going to the right scheme.
Yeah.
Cam Akers is not. Darrell Henderson coming out of Memphis was always going to be a little bit of a project because Memphis's offense, the way they play, the way Memphis ran the ball is pretty far. I mean, very few teams can do what they do in terms of their zone and in terms of their zone game and their power game. I mean, they're just constantly moving offensive linemen to create space. And Darrell Henderson just absolutely exploded through huge holes there. Very talented back. But Cam Akers, man, at the very least, he is used to running behind a bad offensive line.
Yeah.
Because the Rams last year were a bottom 5 offensive line in terms of talent, and this year they didn't get any better. I mean, they had 2 picks at 52 and 57, where I thought they should go offensive line. Instead, they drafted Akers and Van Jefferson. Their best offensive lineman, Andrew Whitworth, is going to be 39 in December. Akers at Florida State ran behind the worst offensive line I've ever charted. I mean, in terms of yards blocked per attempt, they were dead last. Akers was hit behind the line of scrimmage on nearly a third of his carries. He just had no chance behind that line. Akers is very, very agile, an extremely good athlete. But my concern is now, who's going to get the ball? How are we going to distribute touches here? And right now, I'm not nearly smart enough to know the answer to that. They love Malcolm Brown. They gave Malcolm Brown a big role in the red zone, especially early last year. I think Sean McVay wanted a running back by committee last year, but Darrell Henderson just wasn't ready. I watched every carry of Henderson's in the preseason and regular season last year, and especially during the preseason. He looked so slow and clueless. He just did not know what he was looking at. I hope that'll change this year, maybe an off season of studying the playbook and studying the blocking scheme and understanding where to look will help him. But I think last year the Rams wanted to go with the committee with Henderson and Gurley being the 1A, 1B, and Brown mixing in as a change of pace back. And I think they're going to do that this year with Akers as the 1A, Brown as the 1B, and then Henderson as the change of pace guy. And frankly, any of those 3 backs, I put Brown probably last on this, but any of those 3 backs could break out at any point and be the bell cow. But I just don't know if that's the way the Rams want to play this thing.
Nightmare indeed. That sounds horrendous, and it's kind of what I'm projecting right now too, unfortunately. So I hope one of them takes it by the horns, but I don't see that happening for fantasy, unfortunately.